Alrighty, guys, welcome back to Q's Hot Takes. And on today's show, I have my guy LaMark from J Wall Sports. LaMark, how you doing today, bro?
I'm good, Keith, man. How you doing?
I'm starting to do much better. Sunday was a little rough for me. Y'all was blowing up my mentions after my
Oh, yes,
Cowboys.
sir. You already know. I told you. I told you y'all was gonna lose.
Oh Lord, Ruff was bringing up tweets from 3 weeks ago. I was trying to ignore him best as I could because it was getting a bit much. Because it seemed like every 10 minutes, Keith mighty quiet and something else.
Hmm.
I put a little too much faith in my team, and that
It's
happens.
okay. I'm starting to get used to the fact that we have to humble Cowboy fans once a year. So I'm pretty used to it. I'm just gonna accept the fact that every year, beginning of the season, we're going to the Super Bowl. End of the year, man. We shouldn't have did all this. That's the story of a Cowboys fan.
Matchup, like when you get into the tournament and basketball or football, it's all about matchups. And the 49ers are just a bad matchup for us. And, the way they're so physical and they like to run the ball, and we're not very good at stopping the run. So, hey, it happens. And then we had the foolishness at the end where we weren't prepared and all. So it is what it is. I guess we'll try again next year for the 20th year in a row. I'm saying it's our year. Um, But first, before we get into talking about sports, since you're from Fayetteville, I wanted to get your thoughts on the Jason Walker situation. If you guys missed last week's show, Jason Walker, he was walking to a family member's house and he got hit by an off-duty sheriff officer and he landed on the sheriff officer's window and he got shot in the back. And when EMS got on the scene, they weren't really urgent with the care to Mr. Walker, and he died on the scene, unfortunately. So, LaMark, I just wanted to get your brief thoughts on the situation to kick off the show.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a very sad situation for something to happen, and think since we've been in the height of social justice, that this is the closest thing that's like hit to me. Last time we had the incident in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and now we got it in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So it it's an eye opener, it knows that it can happen anywhere. And as a young Black African American man myself, it just shows me that I have to be more vigilant, when I'm out and about, and even in the comfort of my home, because we've seen incidents where it's happened at people's comforts of home. So obviously it's a very sad thing, and I'm ready for them to release the body cam footage so we can get the 100% of the facts of what happened and what went down.
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out like if he was walking, in the street or how the police officer hit him, because that's just what I'm
Right.
trying to figure out. So hopefully they'll release that soon. And I've seen that they've been protesting in Fayetteville, and I'm hoping that will bring some justice to the situation. And we just have to wait and see what happens with that. To the NFL now. Right now, unfortunately, after Brian Flores got fired and David Culley for the Houston Texans got fired, we only have one coach in the NFL who is African American. That is ridiculous. But we have a lot of vacancies open right now. We have 8 open. So, how many head coaching jobs do you think Black coaches will land during this head coaching cycle?
Man, that's really tough to say because there are so many really good candidates. Like you said, we got Brian Flores. I think he'll be a really good candidate for either the Broncos position, the Vikings position, or I forget what other team, but a team that has legit aspirations to be in the playoffs. And then we still got Eric Bieniemy for the Kansas City Chiefs. Personally, I think he should stay with the Chiefs because Andy Reid is towards the tail end of his career.
For sure.
So after Andy Reid, I think Andy Reid may have like 3, 4, maybe 5 years left, and then after that, Eric Bieniemy is going to take over. I mean, he's doing a great job with the Kansas City Chiefs offense as an offensive coordinator right now, and I think he'll have the players' trust, and I think him and Patrick Mahomes will be able to come together and be able to scheme some things together for the future of the Kansas City Chiefs. But to answer your question, how many coaches? I I want to say we'll go back to our three or four, just because it's very hard for the black coaches in the NFL. Like Eric Bieniemy is one coach I keep talking about, but he should have been a head coach 2 3 years ago.
for sure.
Why he's not a head coach now, even though he's interviewed for multiple positions, and we're baffled. We're just as baffled as we are going to be this year when he was passed over for a couple jobs over some other people.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it's really frustrating when you see Joe Judge get a job and Matt Rule and Charlotte. So I'm hoping at least 3 to 4. And I'm hoping one day it can be like the NBA. Right now, half the NBA coaches are black. That was really good to see
Right.
during their coaching cycle. A lot of black coaches got hired. Um, so yeah, I'm hoping a lot of black coaches will get hired during this coaching cycle. I agree with you, Brian Flores. I feel like he'll go to a team that has a strong defense because I feel like he's a great defensive mind. Look at what he did with the Dolphins defense. It seemed like they were always at the top of the league, getting pressure on the quarterback and takeaways. And last year, Xavier Howard led the league in interceptions. So, and he was 4-2 against the Patriots. So I don't know what else the Dolphins really wanted from him. It seems like we have higher expectations for African. They have higher expectations for African American coaches than they do white coaches. So I'm hoping Eric Bieniemy will get a job. Brian Flores, Byron Leftwich is another one. I'm thinking he may get the Jacksonville job because I feel like they need a great offensive mind uh, to help Trevor Lawrence, snap out of it because they didn't look good this year. I know they closed the season strong against the Colts. Todd Bowles, hopefully he gets another chance because he went to the Jets and he did the best he could with that situation.
He was set up for failure.
Yeah,
If you get the Jets, you're set up for failure. The Jets they're starting to be that one organization that they just can't get it right. I mean, they drafted Sam Darnold, couldn't get it right. I forget who their head coach was before.
was it Adam Gate? No, it
There
was
you go.
Adam.
Yep, Adam Gates head coaching couldn't get it right. Todd Bowles head coaching job. I mean, they couldn't get it right. GM ownership. I mean, for you to have and I'm a firm believer in this. For you to have a championship caliber team, it has to start from the owner all the way down. It can't just be your head coach and your players. You need a championship caliber GM. Need a championship caliber players, coach, and owners. It has to go. It has to go from the head down.
Yeah, I agree. And unfortunately, a lot of black coaches they go to the worst jobs. I think Mike Tomlin is like the only one that went to like a golden situation where he had an established quarterback, defense, great ownership. So looking at these jobs like the Texans, Giants, Bears, those are some jobs that I would like a black coach to get hired, but I don't know if I want them going to those situations. I mean, the Bears is probably one of the more intriguing jobs. They have a great defense. The offensive line needs some work, and but like the Texans and Giants, those are jobs that I would hate for some black coaches to get
Oh,
because
I, I, if I was in the head coaching market, the Giants would be a very viable option for me because the Giants are an interesting team. The Giants, the product they put out is bad, but on paper,
very
they look like a good team. I mean, quarterback he's getting better. I mean, the last not this season, but the last season he was first in turnovers. Now he cut that down. Now it's about hitting your targets, making better decisions. And that's something that he can learn from going from year 2 to year 3. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks we see year 2, it's either year 3 or year 4, they have a down year. Like Patrick Mahomes is in year 3
yeah,
or
you're
4.
yeah 3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4, but this was his down season. Same thing with Josh Allen. We have high expectations for Josh Allen to be in the MVP conversation, and he was not in the MVP conversation this year. This was his down year. But with Jones, he's slowly getting better each year. And I think, having a GM and a head coach that can smartly build around him because the offensive line is significantly better. You have Saquon Barkley back this year and next year he's going to be even more healthy just because he's coming off such a dangerous injury. Defense can get a little better, but for what you have on offense, you can score the ball. It's just about execution. So the Giants job, I like it. It's just you got to fine tune three or four things here and there just to make it cohesively work.
Well, yeah, the reason why I was saying that wasn't a good job because I think I saw it on like Total Access where it was saying that the Giants are in cap room hell. So it was kind of going to be hard to build a
Mm,
team if you don't have the cap, space to build the team. And like you were talking about, if you don't have good ownership, then it's going to be hard to have a successful team. And their ownership was really bad, and I think that's why I think their owner or general manager he stepped down because he had done a poor job building that team. So
right. I
ho-
mean, so the head coach and the GM were fired by the owner. And so when I watched the press conference that he did last week, he said, we want to get it right. He just didn't see the GM and the head coaching matchup working, so he let go both of them, and they're actively interviewing now, and he's trying to get it right.
So hopefully they do. Really quick, I could see your Vikings hiring Eric Bieniemy. You have a great offense, and I think that'd be. I feel like he would prefer to go to a team that has good pieces on offense because I feel like that's his specialty. And just kind of need to tweak some things on defense, and y'all could be contending for the NFC North and making a playoff run. So
Right. I mean, they've been interviewing some very good options, and I don't think they've interviewed enemy yet, but just because he's still in the midst of his playoffs and stuff like that. But I think we'll try to get him in. Hopefully, we'll try to get him in during the off season. But from the interviews that I've been seeing from Tom Felicio posted on Twitter, it's some really good options out there. And I like the people that they've been trying to bring in. It's just I think I don't know like if we should go offense or defensive head coordinator because I was just watching you don't even like him too. I was watching Colin Cowherd
oh no, I can't
and
say.
I was watching him. He was talking about the trend for coaching positions. It's more defensive coordinators getting head coaching positions. No, I'm sorry. It's offensive coordinator getting
Offensive
more
minded.
head coaching. Yeah, you are more offensive minded coaches because I mean he pointed out some stuff. Look at Pete Carroll. I mean Pete Carroll. He's up there in age. His schemes are outdated, and now Russ is unhappy. I mean, so just situations like those, you get the offensive minded coordinators in there because the game is now changing to benefit offensive players.
Yeah, holding people to 13 points and winning games like that, you're not going to do that often in the NFL. So we have to
Right.
see. Um, this was just a rumor I saw on Twitter, but it was reported that the Houston Texans they were going to try to interview Brian Flores and hope that would convince Deshaun Watson to stay because that was going to be a big reason why he wanted to go to Miami. So that'll be something to follow. And the Dolphins, I don't know. We'll have to see about that job, but that team they seem to really love Brian Flores. So the next coach that they bring in there, he's going to have to do a great job of getting that team's trust. Because it seemed like he wanted to go with Deshaun Watson, and the owner wanted Tua to build around
Right.
Tua. And I mean, if you can go get Deshaun Watson, Tua's my guy. But I mean, Deshaun Watson is a top 10
I
quarterback.
mean,
So
yeah.
so that's
Yeah, I mean that's a unique situation. I mean, but you do that with any of the rookie quarterbacks. I mean, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, minus Trevor Lawrence, probably minus Trevor Lawrence. If you go with any of the other rookie quarterbacks, like yeah, let's go to give him just because Trevor Lawrence's ceiling is so high.
yeah. If he cuts down on the turnovers, makes some better reads, yeah, I think that's going to be a very intriguing job for all these head coaching candidates.
If he gets
Really,
some protection, he can do that.
yeah, they need to work on that offensive line. It's really bad. And we have to see what happens with Deshaun Watson and all these silver cases. That's going to be something that's probably going to hurt his trade value.
Yeah.
So we have to see. All righty. Switching to our divisional round matchups this week. Our first game is going to be really interesting to see how this one is going to play out. We got the Cincinnati Bengals visiting the Tennessee Titans. So to me, I feel like either this is going to be a shootout back and forth, or the Titans are going to get the ball first. They're going to take 8 minutes off the clock, lean on Derrick Henry, try to keep that high-powered offense off the field of the Bengals because their offense, they're just loaded. The offensive line is not that great. So if you can get pressure on Joe Burrow, that can kind of disrupt some things. So how do you see this matchup playing out between the Tennessee Titans and the Cincinnati Bengals?
It depends, like, cause I was just listening to stuff today, and they said that he and I mean Derrick Henry, he practiced today, and they were trying to get him into some live hitting drills just to see how he feels. So if Derrick Henry can come back, and you gotta have at least 75% of Derrick Henry. You can't 80%. You at least
Yeah,
gotta have
80%.
80% of Derrick Henry. I mean, anything less than 80%, you might as well just shut him down because he's not gonna be effective as he usually is, and you could leave your backup in. But if Derrick Henry is above 80%, and I agree with you, it's going to be a not a low scoring game, but you're going to the Titans are going to run the ball, try to eat up as much clock as possible, trying to get Ryan Tannehill to throw the ball at least as many times as possible. And then you got the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, they scored quickly. I mean,
Whew.
they 8 plays in, 60-yard bomb to Jamar Chase for a touchdown. So it just depends. I mean, I can see the Bengals keeping up with the Titans in that scoring just because how efficiently they score. It depends who gets the ball first. That's who gets the ball first and who gets the most stops. That is gonna depend on that. And when you talk about it that way, I'm gonna go in terms of the Bengals because of Joe Burrow compared to Ryan Tannehill. I mean, Ryan Tannehill, he's a veteran quarterback, probably going to be in the Hall of Fame, but at this point, I can't confidently say that he's the better quarterback.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm taking the Bengals too. It's just something about this team that is so fun to watch, especially their offense. They did a great job building this offense for Joe Burrow to be successful with all the weapons he has around him. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Then you got Joe Mixon out the backfield who can run it and catch it. They're going to have to load the box if Derrick Henry does play and make Ryan Tannehill beat him. They're going to have to heat him up because he doesn't do well when you blitz him. I'm hoping that they can keep Joe Burrow upright because his offensive line isn't that great. They're going to have to, continue to build on that and get it better and better. But if he has time, I think he's going to pick this Titan secondary apart because I don't think they're that very good. Um, so I'm gonna pick the Bengals in the upset. So we have to see. Next, we have the San Francisco 49ers visiting the Green Bay Packers. Um, Me personally, I think this is probably the worst matchup for the Green Bay Packers. It's going to be cold, and I think Jimmy G is probably going to throw it less than 10 times. And I think the 49ers are just going to ground and pound the Packers. It's not good for the Packers because they gave up over 200 yards couple weeks ago to the Browns, and the Browns came to Green Bay. But Kyle Shanahan isn't going to make the mistakes that the Browns coach made and put the ball in Baker Mayfield's hand when the run game is just slashing the Packers. Kyle Shanahan is going to run the ball. If you can't stop it, he's going to keep running the ball. And then, as we saw last week, the way the 49ers can put pressure on you with just 4 and then drop 7 in coverage, that's going to make Aaron Rodgers have to hold the ball a lot longer. And I think the 49ers are going to pull off the upset here. I know Aaron Rodgers has lost to the 49ers the last 3 times in the playoffs, so he may be due for a win against the 49ers. But I just think with it being cold and that run game, I think the 49ers are going to control the clock, and I think they'll get the upset on the road. And who knows, they may be going back to the Super Bowl. We have to see.
I'm gonna go with the Green Bay Packers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, that duo right there, they've been putting in work all year. And I don't think the 49ers defense is gonna have an answer for it. And then you got it's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he's sort of on that tier with Tom Brady. Obviously Tom Brady, all the rings and the accomplishments, he's got the edge over him. But like skill level and the way they read defenses wise, he's up there with him. So I don't think the 49ers are going to be able to scheme up anything well to slow him down. I mean, he's going to be able to read the blitzes. He's going to be able to read the forward of the box. He's going to do his film study. So I think Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams with the rest of the offense, and Aaron Jones, the running back position, I think they're going to be able to effectively make some things happen. But you do have to pay attention, because this is a pretty good 49ers defense. I mean, Nick Bosa, he did go down with a bit of an injury in
Okay,
the
yeah, that looked
Cowboys
bad.
game.
Yeah, concussion
Yeah,
looked
so I
bad.
mean, is he gonna come back? I mean, if he's not coming back, that defense is not gonna look the same without him. I mean, leading the team in sacks, captain on the team. He's gonna be up there. So I'm gonna take the Packers. I mean, Jimmy G with the hand injury, I'm not gonna trust him. I mean, he made it to the Super Bowl one time. Like, congratulations, we give you your props, but you haven't been close to getting back there. Like, this is the closest you've been. Well, no, yeah,
Last
this is the
year,
closest you've
yeah,
been.
last year they was all hurt. They had all those injuries.
Yeah,
It was ridiculous.
right. So I mean, this year is the closest you've been, and I mean, there's a reason they went out and they got Trey Lance. I mean, it's for when Jimmy G gets injured. They're tired of Jimmy G being injured every season with something, and again this year he's been injured multiple times with something. So I'm gonna go to Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I think the biggest key is they're gonna have to address their porous run defense. They can't let the 49ers control the clock. I think the mistake the Cowboys made was they didn't take advantage of the one-on-one matchups outside, like Aaron Rodgers probably is going to do. Because I feel like we could have, capitalized a little more on that, but we didn't for whatever reason. But if Aaron Rodgers is able to have time, their secondary isn't that good. So if I were them, I would double Devontae Adams and make somebody else beat me, but he's still gonna throw it to him 20 times, so it may not matter.
I
So
mean,
moving,
they're gonna find some way to get him the ball.
oh yeah, they're gonna whatever it takes, they're gonna get him at least 15 targets.
Right.
So moving to our Sunday games, this first game is, it's gonna be a good one. The Los Angeles Rams visiting the Tampa Bay Bucks. Uh, does Tom Brady get revenge against the Rams, who looked really good last week against the Cardinals, even though the Cardinals, for whatever reason, they just seem to fall apart at the end of the season. This is 2 years in a row that they've really fallen apart at the end of the season. And I just don't know what it is, but they need to address that offensive line, because Kyler Murray had no time. As soon as he hiked the ball, they was on him. So the Bucks are really beat up. So do you think the Rams go into Tampa and pull off the upset?
That's a close one, just because of how beat up the Bucks are.
Yes.
But Matthew Stafford's been really inconsistent all year. I mean, he's got his first playoff win, and essentially it's like he's a young quarterback. Look at Kyler Murray yesterday. I mean, he looked nervous. I mean, the entire game, it's just, those first playoff jitters are still going to be there. No matter if you're in year 4, year 5, year 10, you're still going to have those playoff jitters. I mean, this is going to be his second big game. I mean, they're 1-4, I believe, in the season when they're playing against, teams that are now in the playoffs, are teams that were, I want to say, above 500. So they didn't perform really well. I mean, the Buccaneers are the only team that they beat, and that was early in the season. I want to say it's like week 3, week 4 kind of
Week
thing.
4.
Yeah, week 4 they beat them, and Tom Brady is a bit of a lunatic.
That's putting it
And
nicely.
I'm trying to find a nice way to say that. And what I mean by that is he sort of has that. He sort of has that, like, that MJ mentality. Like, he's gonna try to find the smallest thing, and he's gonna try to use that as fuel. I mean, watching Undisputed this morning, they were talking about how Sean McVay for the Rams, on a touchdown that they got against the Buccaneers earlier in the season, he ran all the way down the field, almost into the tunnel, to follow his player, and
Oh yeah.
just to celebrate with them. I mean, now what would I really think Tom Brady would look at that one little thing and be like, "Oh, the coach is celebrating, and I'm going to take that to heart." No, I personally I wouldn't. But I mean, we know how Tom Brady is. Tom Tom Brady. They say Tom Brady. He's two sides to him. Like off the field, he's cool, calm, collective. Tom on the field, if you push them buttons, Tom is a G.
Yep. We've seen that. Look at the
Right.
Saints game. What he told the
It,
coach.
right. I mean, and this is the little backstory. So I was listening to I Am Athlete, right? And LaShawn McCoy, he was there with the team on that championship run, and he was telling the story about how Tom is, and he talked about that Saints game and how he was after the game, he was out there throwing the ball around with Drew Brees' kids. As soon as he came back to the locker room, came back smiling, he was like, "Yeah, I got him," and it was just not like he was talking bad, but he was happy because he sent Drew Brees out on an L.
I can see Tom being like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So considering how bad the Bucks played, and that it was actually week 3. I looked it up while you were
Okay.
giving your pick because they played the Patriots week 4. So I got that mixed up. But yeah, they played them in week 3. That was my game of the week that week, and the Bucks, they looked really bad. Tom Brady, I think he had a couple of interceptions. He didn't have Antonio Brown that week, and they just look really bad. So I know he's going to want to play better. The Rams secondary is really beat up. They had to sign Eric, what's his name, Waddle, off the street. He had retired. They had to bring him back, and I had picked the Cardinals last week because of how inconsistent Matthew Stafford had been. He had been throwing
Right.
picks. He had been, forcing throws of Cooper Cup. So he's going to get him at least 15 targets every game. But considering that the Rams beat the Bucks soundly in that Week 3 matchup, I think Tom Brady's gonna want some revenge. They're going to have to protect him because you got Aaron Donald up the middle, and then you got Von Miller and Leonard Floyd on the edge. And usually teams that beat Tom Brady are they can get pressure up the middle. So we have to see if Tristan Wirfs, if he can play. He tried to tough it out Sunday, but it just
Right.
gave his ankle just gave out on him. So if they're able to protect Tom Brady, I think he's gonna find a way to win this game. I know the Rams, they moved all their cards into the middle to try to win the Super Bowl, but I just don't see them beating Tom Brady twice in one season. He really wants to get that 8th championship, and who knows, he may ride off into the sunset after that, or he may keep playing and try to win 10, but we don't know.
Who knows? Yeah, I mean, but now that I completely those two slipped my mind, Von Miller and the other player on the
Leonard
defensive
Floyd,
end.
Leonard Floyd,
No, for the Rams. They
yeah,
both of them try to set up on the edge. They get some linebackers try to go through the middle. I think those two they're very primed to have. One of them is primed to have a breakout game, but both of them have a breakout game on the same night. That's very dangerous. So I think I'm gonna have to go with the Rams based on defense because the Buccaneers defense is still banged up, and the Rams defense is pretty sound. So I'm gonna aim with the offensive line troubles that the Buccaneers are having with the right tackle, I believe he is, right?
yeah, right, yeah. I think he's the right tackle, so that could be
Yeah,
concerning.
yeah, that's gonna be concerning.
Yeah, that'd be something to follow throughout the week. But I just think the way that if Tom Brady's able to have time, that secondary outside of Jalen Ramsey, I think they're very. He can have some fun, with that secondary outside of Jalen Ramsey. So we just have to see. And I I trust Tom Brady in a big game more than I do Matthew Stafford. That was also a deciding
Right.
factor. So we just have to see. Our game of the week, as you see, my Zoom background this week is Kansas City's stadium, Arrowhead. I call it the earthquake because of how loud it gets during their big games. So the Bills, they beat the Chiefs soundly in Week 5. They got revenge after the Chiefs broke their heart in the AFC Championship game last year, beat them 38-24. As we remember, Stephon Diggs, he stayed out on the field the whole time during the ceremony, and he used that as motivation for this year. So, do you think the Bills will be able to do what the Chiefs did last year, which is sweep the Bills in the regular season, and they beat them in the postseason? Do you think the Bills can do it again? They looked really good last week. I mean, they put on a clinic against the Patriots. I was not expecting that.
Um, I don't think they'll be able to do it.
I don't either.
Just because I mean, both defenses are subpar. We can go ahead and be honest about it. Both defenses are not there yet. I mean, they spend so much money on the offense, so you sort of expect the defense to look how it is looking for both teams. But I think the better of the two defenses is on Kansas City side. I mean, the last I think it was the last 12 or 11, 12 or 13 games, they were 11-1 or 12-1, the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, defense is looking good. Patrick Mahomes is looking good. Interceptions are down, making really good decisions, finding, the good targets, and really, trying not to do too much. I mean, we watched him early in the first round of the playoffs, and he threw that first interception. After that, it's like he he found home and he just started doing the simple things. I mean, we love how Patrick Mahomes can go off script, but going off script is not for every play, not for every down. I mean, you gotta do the simple stuff first, and then then if you need to, push comes to shove, you can go off script, and that's gonna end up getting you the win. So out of the two quarterbacks, I'm going with Patrick Mahomes because Josh Allen, he's been on a down year this entire year, and that game last week, that was the first like really good sound game that he had for the season. He's probably had one or two more, but I mean that's like the one that's going to stand out to everybody if you look over the season. But Patrick Mahomes, he's had a couple games where we was like, okay, Patrick Mahomes, he's starting to understand that he's doing too much and he's learning and he's having growth. I mean, I just talked about it earlier, both of these quarterbacks in their fourth year, and they're on a bit of a down year. But I trust Patrick Mahomes more.
Yeah, I just can't see him going into Kansas City and beating the Chiefs like they did in Week 5. Patrick Mahomes, he threw 2 picks in that game, so obviously he's going to have to make some better decisions. Like I was saying on my show last week, Josh Allen, he doesn't do well when you put pressure on him. He really locks up. He stops looking downfield, and I didn't know this going into the game last week, but whenever it's cold this season, he was really subpar. He had 6 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. So he had been playing really bad in cold games. And it was like 5 degrees during that game. And, those are some loyal fans because I could not sit out in no cold weather like that for 3 hours. No way.
Not doing it.
No, not
I
at all.
I'd be where you at right now for 6 hours. I'd be in
Yeah,
that room right there with some heat.
yeah, but I couldn't sit out in that cold. And then I saw people without shirts and I'm like, y'all tripping. Y'all are tripping.
Oh yeah. I don't know how they went home and not have a cold the next day.
For sure. I know they had some Alka-Seltzer or something when they got home because ain't no way.
I would have been sick as a dog.
For sure. But yeah, I think the biggest reason why the Chiefs defense turned around during that last part of the season, they went 11-1, I think, or something like that. Acquiring Melvin Ingram, to go along with Frank Clark, you're able to put pressure. I don't think their secondary is subpar. So I think that was the biggest reason that why they turned it around. They were able to put pressure on quarterbacks, cause turnovers, and kind of hide how bad their secondary was. So I think they're gonna have to do that. Put a lot of pressure on Josh Allen because you don't want your corners going one-on-one with Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders. Dawson Knox killed them in that game. He had 3 catches for 115 yards. So they're definitely going to have to find a way to slow him down. And yeah, Patrick Mahomes, I trust in a big time playoff game at home. I know he's going to find a way to get that win. And I think this is whoever wins this game. I think they're going to come out the AFC. No disrespect to the other two teams, but I think the winner of of this game is going to represent the AFC, because I think these are the two best teams remaining in the AFC. So we
Right.
have to see. So really quick before you go, who is your Super Bowl pick for this year? Do you have one?
I don't even have one. It's everything's so close. Like I don't want Tampa to win, so I'm not gonna say Tampa. I mean, but who it for me? So it's really who's gonna come out of this the AFC. I mean, if it's the Chiefs, I sort of like it. I sort of don't. I mean, that Chiefs Green Bay game. If it's a Chiefs Green Bay game, I might lean towards the Chiefs just because like defenses are even. But if it's Chiefs and Tampa Bay or Chiefs and Rams, then the defense is going to be skewed just because like both of those teams have good defenses. And it's at that point we're going to see how good that offensive line is. They pay so much money for them on the offseason, but when you face the Rams or the Buccaneers, if they make it to the Super Bowl, that's when we're going to see how good that line is.
Yeah, because Whitehead for the Bucks, he was everywhere last week, and then their defensive line, they were really getting pressure on Jalen Hurts, disrupting things, and they have two of the best linebackers in the game. Yeah, the Bucks, I would love to see a rematch because the Chiefs, they were beat up, and that Super Bowl was really hard to watch. So I would love if we get a rematch. Well, it would really be a trilogy because they played twice last year. They split, and this would be the third game. So
Right.
I mean, that'd be
I mean,
the headlines for that would be crazy, bro.
right. If that were to be a rematch, I mean, it would look so different just because I'm going to assume that this offensive line will be able to protect it for some plays. And so, I mean, every 3 out of 4 plays, they'll be able to protect them. 1 out of 4 times he'll get rushed and he'll have to scramble. And then that's when he has to go off the script. I mean, if you can keep him simple three out of 4 times, and then he can go off script one time, he's gonna confuse the defense. He's going to find something. I mean, he's what he can do is magical. I mean, every time I talk about Patrick Mahomes and him scrambling, the first play that comes into my mind is Super Bowl game last year, where he was running and he got tackled, but before he hit the ground, like his body was level with the ground like this,
Oh, I
and he
remember
threw the
that.
pass,
That was
and
crazy.
it was almost a touchdown. Like if like the I forget who was, I think it was Robinson who dropped the catch. But that was the most on target pass of that game, and it would have been the greatest pass in Super Bowl history.
Yeah, that was. I remember what you were talking about. Yeah, I was like, how in the world did he get that ball off?
Right. I was confused. I said, why did he throw it? And I
Yeah,
looked, I said, well, why didn't he catch it? Like, geez, it hit your hands. I was a little upset.
yeah, that's like in basketball when you make a nice assist and somebody blow the layup. That's what that's like.
Not my stats.
Yeah, that's the worst. I remember I was watching my Tar Heels last night. They got smoked. But the guard from Miami, he made a sweet pass, and the guy he blew the layup, or it was a jump shot or something like that. And I know he was sick because he threaded the needle, and yeah, I just hate when they do that. You have a nice pass and they just smoke it. So yeah, we have to see. I'm thinking we're gonna get Tampa versus the Chiefs, the trilogy. And I think that would be great for the Super Bowl. But if the Rams are able to find a way to get to LA, have the Super Bowl in their home stadium, that could be interesting. Because of how they can get after the quarterback, that could cause a lot of trouble for Patrick Mahomes or whoever comes out the AFC. I think it's gonna be really interesting because we got some good teams left, so we have to see. Thank you for joining the show today, bro. You want to tell everybody where they can follow you, and maybe you can make a nice a highlight tape for him. You've made some sick highlight tapes. So you want to shout yourself out, bro, before you go?
Oh yeah. So you guys can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at JWall Sports. And if you guys want to follow my personal accounts on Instagram, it's lj.hoops. And on Twitter, it's LJ_hoops01.
For sure. Yeah, but thank you again for joining the show, bro. It's always fun chatting it up with you.
I appreciate you having me on, Keith.
Yeah, no problem, bro.